Welcome to Revit 2019 Demo 31. We're going to continue from Revit 2019 Demo 30 for 31. This lecture is going to encompass creating a gypsum board ceiling. We've done a little bit of this in some of our examples, but it'll explain it a little more in depth. We will use the gyp board, also called drywall ceiling, to hide the second floor subfloor, to attach ceiling-based elements like lights, ceiling fans, air conditioning, diffusers, and smoke detectors. We will also use the gyp ceiling on the second floor. It would be attached to the bottom of the roof joist. So for this example, we're going to make a 5/8 inch drywall ceiling. So what we're going to do is go to level 1 for now. We're going to go to architecture, ceiling, and we're going to choose compound ceiling GWB on metal stud, which is this one. And we're going to edit the type and duplicate this. And we want to name it Gallatin, space dash space, and we'll call it gyp, 5/8 inch gyp. Hit OK. And we're going to edit the type. We're going to delete layer 4, so we're going to delete that. And we want to change layer 2 right here to be 5/8 inch thick, 5/8 inch. And we want to call this layer Gallatin gyp. Let's just see if we have it. If we don't, we'll make it. We don't, so let's look for Gallatin gypsum. We can type in gypsum wallboard. We'll just use this gypsum wallboard for now. We can duplicate this and just call it Gallatin gyp to keep it consistent with what the assignment says to do. And we'll go ahead and use this. And the Gallatin gyp should be flat white paint and have a surface pattern of sand. So we have the pattern of sand. We'll just do this as flat white. Hit apply, hit OK. Gallatin gyp, 5/8. Hit OK. And OK. And now we want to add a ceiling to the den. We don't actually have a den at this particular point. But what we can do is we can use the sketch option and sketch it over the living room. And that'll allow us to kind of get a little bit more detail on this. We're going to set the height offset from level and make sure it's set to 8 feet. So we're going to set this to 8 feet. That's important to know. Now, one thing we want to do is go to the level 1 ceiling plan and just take a look at what ceilings have been created. We can also view this in 3D as well. So we can kind of rotate down and in. What we're going to do is we're going to switch to the front view at this point in the lecture, and we're going to eliminate floors 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and roof. We're going to delete those, and all those values will be gone. We'll go ahead and just do another window selection and delete those, and then we'll set these walls, which you can tell are selected, up to level 2 for now. We'll delete those instances of those windows as well. We're going to continue to delete things on the second level there, and we're going to rename this to roof. So we'll just call this roof. Yes. Now you'll look at the list, and our list is down to foundation plan, level 1 presentation, roof, and site. Now what we'll go ahead and do for this lecture is we're going to go ahead and continue drawing the roof on the roof plan. So I did go into roof, and I can't see the walls, which is fine. That's because there's a floor drawn in. We're going to delete that floor out. We want to make sure that the underlay and the base range for this is level 1 so that we can see what's going on. And we're going to go architecture roof. We're going to come in here and we're going to just draw basically a 1-foot overhang for everything. And we're just going to draw in a basic roof. So we've kind of got that basic shape. I'm going to define these slopes. So we'll go ahead and just define these slopes. And we'll define these slopes. Notice that my definition for defined slope is set to 9 inches. What I want to do is make sure that I select each area that has a slope, and I'm going to set these for 6 inches for now. Or I could do 412. For this one, we'll just do 612. We'll hit finish. Our roof's drawn in. We'll go to 3D. We'll go ahead and attach all the walls. So we'll right click, select all instances visible in view, attach to the roof, delete splitting element, that's fine for now. Go ahead and attach this front wall, to the roof, attach to roof. And we're just getting our house kind of cleaned up. We're not using that giant skyscraper type building anymore. We're just going to go ahead and use what we have here. And we'll go ahead and attach these to the roof as well. Now we may not want those attached to the roof, but for now this will function the way that we want it to, and it should be okay. So we'll go ahead and just trust that what we have is looking pretty good. So we've got a basic house kind of going on. And we'll continue going through creating the ceilings. So I'm going to go into level 1 ceiling, and I'm going to hide the roof because I don't want to see the roof in this category for right now. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this material symbol and just kind of clean the drawing up. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure that the ceiling plans that I have in here are showing me the correct values. So I'll make sure ceilings are turned on, and they are turned on right here. And we'll just make sure that we're drawing correctly. So for our base range, we'll set this to level 1. And now we can see all the ceilings in level 1. And that just allows us to do that. Now for our den area, I would say living space is where we want to draw a ceiling. We'll go ahead and draw it for this whole area here. Now what we can do is we can come up here, go to ceiling. We've created that Gallatin 5/8 inch gyp, and we want to go ahead and do an automatic ceiling. Now what's going to happen is if we do an automatic ceiling in this, it's going to define this area. That's okay for now because it's set above that kitchen. So we're going to cut a section through here, which we have already available. So if I undo that and go to section 4, section 4 is going to show me that ceiling that I just drew. Now that ceiling I just drew is at 8 feet. Now I want level 1 to illustrate where that section's at. So that section's here. I'm going to pull that value out so I can see the kitchen ceiling as well. And then from there you'll be able to see that we've got a dropped ceiling in the kitchen and then a ceiling in the main room that's set to 8 feet. Let's go ahead and pop that up to 9 feet for now. And we can actually move it to adjust to the same height as this roof. So we're going to move it down to adjust to that same height of the roof. So now I've got the ceiling in at the correct moment in which it touches the roof. Realistically though, because of the thickness of it, I would want this bottom or this top line to be where the bottom line is, and that's lining up directly with the actual roof. So if I look at that, we're all good, everything's in place. I have a dropped ceiling in the kitchen. That just means the space is going to be a little bit lower. So I'm starting to think about where these ceilings are, what their relationships are to the roof, and if I set this one to 9 feet, make sure number locks is on, it'll show me that that's a little too high. I can arrow key that down, and now I'm adjusting the heights to my ceilings to fit within the context of the building. And that's important to know and understand. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to ceiling plan level 1, and we want to make sure that everything's set in place. Now, for the example of 31 in the Gallatin College Revit book, it illustrates it in association to a second level. We're associating this to the roof level, which means that in level 1, going back to this section, it's going to show me the relationship between the ceiling and the roof. Now, conventionally, what's going to happen is once I have this design laid out, I'm going to send this design to a truss manufacturer, and the truss manufacturer is going to generate the correct calculations to generate the correct truss that I need to order for the building. So in Bozeman, Montana, the select manufacturers are Simpkins and Kenyon Noble. So I could send them this design and this layout and say, hey, this is the ballpark of the floor plan that I'm looking at. Here's my roof plan or the roof area that I'm looking at. If I look at it from site, it's going to show up a little bit better. They'll be able to take this roof and associate based on the plan what the roof truss is supposed to be and generate the calculations needed. So that's important. Now, one other important thing is when we're in the ceiling plan, or sorry, level 1 section, you'll notice that there's attic space. In this attic space now, I have room to put a furnace, I have room to put ductwork, I have room to put plumbing as well. Now, we're not going to get into that in this class, but what we are going to talk about is essentially how those items could fit and why we're drawing the way that we're drawing. So we're not going to focus on the second floor for now, but what we are going to focus on is that our ceiling's in the correct location in relationship to our roof. Now we've used the sketch option and we've set it approximately at the right height. That's 8'9" 3/4. Now, once everything's in the right spot, we can then basically send this off to the truss manufacturer to build it in relationship to our ceilings and roof. Now we want to move into wall sweeps, but that'll be the next lecture. So for now, what we'll go ahead and do is we'll go to a 3D view to ensure that our roof's set up correctly. We have a brick pattern on the back that we painted on, and we'll just kind of set this up on the top corner here. We'll just click this view cube on the top front left corner, and we'll file save as project, and we'll save this as demo31. And in the next lecture, we'll discuss about wall sweeps. So I'll see you in the next lecture.